Good afternoon, I'm Ahmad Fawzi and welcome to the Peace Day 2016 live broadcast on Facebook. This segment is on peace and education, and I'm very pleased to have with us Wendy Phillips and Ben Harrington, sitting right there, two teachers who have been active in raising awareness on Peace Day in schools for a long time. Peace One Day has actually always worked with young people to inspire and empower them to live peacefully. The Peace One Day education resources have been running for over 11 years and are translated into 6 different languages, the 6 languages of the United Nations, and are being used by schools and colleges around the world. And this includes 77,000 educational materials to the Great Lakes region of Africa alone. So for more information and for the educators who are watching us today, and I hope you are there watching, the education resources are available directly from the Peace One Day website. Before we talk to our guests, let's watch a short film to find out more about the importance of education in peace building. Let's watch.
Since the beginning of Peace One Day's journey, we knew that reaching young people with the message of Peace Day was crucial. And so from 1999 onwards, we've been visiting schools around the world. And that's what led us to create a Peace One Day free education resource in the 6 official languages of the United Nations.
How can we as a community support education? First of all, we need to embrace it. It's only through education that you can equip the brain, but also equip the heart.
For the Great Lakes Region of Africa campaign, we've teamed up with UNICEF and Ministries of Education to develop a peace education poster to engage teachers and students, informing them that Peace Day, 21st of September, is a starting point for their actions towards a more peaceful and sustainable world. The poster is designed to speak directly to the region's youth, illustrating its message via 3 prominent curriculum areas: music, art, and sport. On one side, students are able to learn about and find inspiration to mark Peace Day, and the flip side provides activities to promote life skills for peace and reconciliation all year round. Together, they present essential and valuable steps to peace and include photos of youth of the Great Lakes region alongside national figures. We're now working with those teachers to support them to get the very best out of the resource. Over 60,000 posters have been distributed to partners and primary schools, which is an incredible achievement and one we want to build on further in 2016.
Let us invest in the schools and teachers that will build a fair and inclusive world that embraces diversity.
Young people are the future of Peace Day. Learn more and register your interest via the education section of our website, www.peaceoneday.org/education.
So, very clearly, education is a crucial element in peace building. Great to have with us Wendy Phillips and Ben Harrington to talk about Peace Day and the impact it's had in their classrooms. So you're both teachers. Where do you teach, Wendy?
I teach in St Andrew's Catholic Primary School in Streatham.
And Ben?
St Paul's Primary School in Kingston.
St Andrews and St Paul's?
Yeah, and then on to support Peace One Day in the education team. But yeah, St Paul's Primary School was a teacher there for years.
Fantastic. So, Wendy and Ben, how did you ever find out about Peace One Day?
After you, Wendy.
Well, a local organisation called the Little Big Peace Project, they got in touch with us. So it's a parent and a past pupil, and they thought that our school, my school, would be a good school to host an assembly. So we said yes, and We had Peace One Day in
When was
once.
this?
Gosh, this must have been about 4 years ago. And
Okay.
ever since
The rest is history.
The rest is history.
Fantastic. And Ben?
Just through word of mouth. A friend of mine who already heard of Peace One Day informed me about it, told me there's this really cool organisation that are trying to do some cool stuff, and told me about the project. And I just thought it's something that would be really good in school environment. So it was just word of mouth for me. And that was in 2011, a while back, yeah.
2011.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've both been strong supporters of Peace Day, the International Day of Peace, 21 September. Why is the day so important to you, Wendy?
I think from an educational point of view, the timing of the day works really well. Children come back to school 5th, 6th, 7th of September. They're all keen, they want to see their friends, everybody's happy. And then after a few weeks, cracks start to show. You know, the old rivalries and the patient runs out a little bit. So Peace One Day is a great way of refocusing them and reminding them it's about being nice to each other and, you know, just being kind.
And getting them interested in doing something
Yeah.
together on that day.
Yeah.
And Ben, why is Peace Day so important to you?
Well, for me, I think it's very accessible. I think it's the accessibility of it. You know, there's just one day, you know, and it's not too much of a challenge. It's not too much to take on board. But then the other end of the scale, you've got the potential, the infinite potential of what it can do. So there's this one side, this easy accessibility, which, you know, children can grasp. And on the other side, you know, you can free your mind and be creative and all the things you can do. So I like that.
How have you managed to engage your students in Peace Day?
The first thing that we did, well, I did it a little bit different actually. I thought it'd be interesting to raise the subject of Peace Day earlier. So we did a summer lesson, and our goal was to introduce it early so that the children could play an active role in promoting the build-up to the day. And so we did, it's very cross-curricular. You can put it into lots of different subjects. Mm-hmm. And so I was working with a year 3 class, you know, you're talking about 6 and 7-year-olds. And we were doing letter templates of how to write a persuasive letter. So we got the children to write their own persuasive letters to other head teachers, and they loved it because they knew their letter was going to a head teacher of another school. You know, so there were these 60 letters handwritten by 6-year-olds going out to 60 different schools in the area, and we went down to the post box, and it was lovely.
Fantastic. And you, Wendy?
Well, really the values from Peace One Day, they underpin our school ethos. So really we gave the brief to our children, said we'd like to do some events for Peace One Day and almost use it as a platform for the start of our year of lots of activities around peace, but it's almost having that celebration, that kick-start, and it's child-led, which we really support in our school, getting pupil voice, the children taking action and making it happen.
And can you share some of the highlights from the Peace Day activities you organised?
So we have a Wear White for Peace. So every child wears either a white outfit or a piece of white clothing, and they bring in 50p or £1, and we donate it to a local charity. We have donated to Peace One Day, but you know, some years they've had funding, so that's been quite nice. So a local charity has benefited, and the children come in, and they love coming in their own clothes, and their parents. It's such a strong statement to the parents and the children. You know, when they have the assemblies in the hall and they're looking around, and it's just this sea of white, and it's just a memorable moment for the children. When you ask them, "How do we celebrate Peace One Day?" We wear white for peace.
Nice.
Ben, any highlights to share?
Yeah, I think, well, that letter writing activity led to a reply from a head teacher, which was wonderful, you know, reading that out in assembly on Peace Day, because the letters were written earlier, and reading it out to the children and knowing that was through the work of a 6-year-old. And the letter stated, you know, this head teacher, thank you so much for telling us, I'll be sure to get my school engaged, and, you know, the difference that made. And then also we did a festival, community event, and we created a peace tree and went to several schools in the area, and they got to, you know, children made little peace notes, and they all came to the event. So it brought people together, but they also hung up their notes on the peace tree. So there's this beautiful kind of curated tree with all these handmade notes from children.
Saying what in the notes?
Oh,
what they would do for peace?
You couldn't script it. It was completely open-ended. It was essentially, I think, a lot of times I've heard Jeremy say, before, who will you make peace with, or what does peace mean to you? And so we used those prompts really, and some people didn't write anything, they just do drawings. Other people would talk about what peace meant to them. Other people talked about like these visions of how they saw the world. It was lovely.
What ages are your students, Ben?
So it's a primary school, so it's from 5 to 11 years old.
And Wendy?
The same.
Same thing.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating what children of that age can understand when you talk to them about peace.
And they get it.
So you've talked about the highlights, which is always fun to hear. What about the challenges? Have you faced any challenges in trying to engage young people, your young students in Peace Day?
I don't think
any rejections?
No, I think the only things that I think they'd like it to go on more than a day. I think they'd like to have the activities rolling on for quite a few days. But I think my head teacher said, small steps, one day, and then we'll do events over the year.
That's what we all hope, that peace will prevail every day, everywhere. Ben, any challenges?
Well, the challenge isn't with the children, it's with the adults.
Really?
Yeah,
Why is that?
Just, you're getting approval to kind of bring that into the school, and what's it about? And so, but once you've passed that sort of can we do this project? The children get it 100%. There's no challenge with the children whatsoever. It's like that. They just get it.
Yeah.
Well, there's another challenge, isn't there? Have you tried, for example, to get Peace and Peace Day into the educational curriculum? Into the national curriculum for schools at that age or higher. Wendy?
Well, within my own school, my head teacher is very pro personal social health education, children having the opportunity to talk and learn about what's going on in the wider world and how they can impact, how their actions can impact on that. So within my own school, we're very open to these resources and getting it into our own curriculum.
And you can do that on your own?
Within our own...
within your own school?
Yes, under the PSHE programme. So that's personal social health, citizenship education. So yes, we can within our school.
Wonderful. And Ben?
Yeah, well, I worked in a Church of England school, and the diocese of the Church of England represent 25% of the primary schools. And I found it a challenge my hope would be that just that one body has the ability to open this, as a calendar date that they follow every year to 25% of schools, and the opportunity between linking those 25% of schools across the country on one day for peace is huge. So I do find that a big challenge. I found it a big challenge, and I do think it's important. And working more with the organisation after that role, Uganda, Peace One Day have done a lot of work in the Great Lakes region of Africa, and the Ministry of Education there embraced it and kind of put out a statement, a day for teaching and learning about peace to all the schools. So something that small, can have a real big effect. And so I think that, it's very important that we somehow, maybe it's up to the schools to come together and push for a campaign for Peace Day to be in the curriculum, and the schools kind of lead on that, and the children lead on that, just how they learn the letter writing. I don't know.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And if the UK takes the lead in that, it will spread throughout the world.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Ben, you've also used the Peace One Day educational materials. Can you tell us about those resources?
It was just very, very, very comprehensive. There's a few lessons that stand out for me. There was a Who Will You Make Peace With lesson, and there was an activity where the children had to create a peacemaking plan, and I think there was a scale from anger to action, and you kind of have to say, how you feel about someone. Are you angry, or and depending on that feeling, what action could you take to make peace? Be it make a tea, send a text, and they ended up with this plan, this paper plan that they took away with them, and it was incredible that I think in that class, 28 or 29 children out of 30 actively went home and fulfilled their plan. And some of the stuff they did was amazing. Like, you know, I remember one girl, you know, we were saying, well, what did you do? What did you do? And one girl just said, I listened. You know, and you thought, whoa.
Fantastic.
From a 10-year-old, you know, you listen, you're like, whoa, everyone just went quiet. It was a really beautiful
You're going to say
lesson.
all the kids started making tea for you.
Well, yeah, you know, you can use it to your advantage.
And Wendy, have you used these resources at all?
We have, building on the scaling lesson that Ben mentioned. It was actually the parents that really liked it, because the children came home with a plan. You know, siblings, they argue, they bicker, and parents, you know, sometimes say, oh, you know, they're great at school, but at home. So they came home with this plan, and most of them, if you've got a sibling, a younger sibling saying, I'm not going to fight with my brother or my sister, and the parents have got it in writing, you know, it actually gives them something that they can talk through and use with them. So parents actually came back and said, can we have these a few more times? So we have sent them out on occasions, but I think it's good because you start the session in the classroom, you talk through the different emotions, different feelings, and you're giving them something, an action that they can actually take away and do. I think, you know, a lot of parents will say, you know, in school, you know, children are great. It's what they do outside of school. So it's bridging that gap, that communication between home and school. So certainly our parents loved it.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I have so many more questions for you, but we don't have the time, so maybe later. Thank you so much for joining us, Wendy and Ben. And before we conclude this segment on peace and education, we have a very special guest for you, who is a UNESCO Youth Ambassador from Nigeria. Her name is Victoria Ibiwoye, and she will be talking us briefly in the next 6-minute video clip about the role of youth in peace building. Let's listen to Victoria.
My name is Victoria Ibiwoye, and I am the founding director of One African Child Foundation, which is a non-profit that works to empower economically disadvantaged children in Nigeria through life skills in global citizenship and peace building. I am also a youth fellow of the United States Institute of Peace Generation Change Program, and I am also the regional focal point of the UN Major Group for Children and Youth, Western and Central Africa. And I also work with UNESCO as a youth ambassador. The role of youth in peace building is very important to me because young people have the power to change the narrative. We cannot change some of the wars and conflict that has happened in times past, but we have the power to change the story and to make our own story, our own generation much more positive and much more inspiring. I also believe that youth have the power to influence their peers to work for peace. They have the power to encourage their peers on the benefit and reward in working for peace. And it is much more easier for young people to influence their peers than when somebody else, an adult, is telling them about peace building. Youth listen to each other much more. Gender equality is very, very important to peace because the situations that we are facing in the world today are too complex to be solved by one group alone. So we need diversity when it comes to solving the complex problems that we face in our world today. We need all hands to be on deck. We need the role of girls, women, men, boys to be on deck. So gender equality actually promotes inclusivity, which is exactly what the world needs today. We need all ideas. We need the influences of women and men to be on board so as to see that peace is possible, achievable, and realistic. Some of the challenges faced by young peace builders still remain that they lack adequate skills, peace building skills, conflict resolution skills. A lot of problems that we face in our world today, we see so many conflicts that later result to violence. There are a lot of people who want to be solution providers to these problems, but they often lack professional skills on how to handle these situations in their communities. So a big challenge is still remain inadequate skills. Another challenge can be support. So young people sometimes who are working for peace building are not as much as those who are working for violence. So youth peace builders need support from their peers, from the government, from international and local organizations. They need their support to be on their side. Another challenge can also be finance, in trying to implement some of the innovative and creative projects that they have. Peace building does not only involve organizing workshops. Youth peace builders are now using social media to spread their ideas. So finance also can be a challenge to trying to get their work widely spread around the world. Peaceful world to me will look like a world where there is freedom and respect of human rights, a world where a child can go to sleep at night and is not afraid that something violent or bad will happen the next day. It can be a world where women are free to express themselves, where their rights are respected, where gender inequality is not even an issue. It is a world where the youth finally have a voice, where the youth are not put at the backstage, but are placed at the forefront, where their efforts are recognized and respected. It is a world where the stories of young peace builders are shared and heard, they are celebrated. It is a world where we no longer have to worry about violence, a world where we no longer have to worry about the death of our loved ones or insecurity. So there is a quote that says that evil thrive because good men do nothing. So I believe that we need to continue to talk more about the efforts. We need to celebrate the effort of those who are doing good and who are working for peace. We must not just stay silent. We must not just say, oh, you are doing great, but we must celebrate it. We must make the effort of young people who are working for peace a big deal. On social media, if there is violence, it goes viral. So it should be like when there is someone who is working out there for peace, it should also go viral. And everybody's story needs to be, every youth peace builder story needs to be celebrated like that of Malala. It needs to be celebrated like so many young people whom we know about today. So every youth peace builder story needs to be out there. This is how we amplify the effort of young people. If I have a message that I would like to drive out there is that everybody have a role to play, no matter how little. We all have a role to play in peace building. We have a role to play in our homes, in our place of work, in our organization, in our social group, with our religious communities, and we should be doing something about getting the message of peace out there. We must not just stay silent. We must not just have a passive attitude, but our attitude must be proactive towards peace building. And peace begins with you and me.
So that was Victoria Ibiwoye from Nigeria, UNESCO Youth Ambassador. Thank you, Victoria. I am just burning to ask the two of you a final question. A question to you, Wendy, and a question to Ben. Wendy, what would you tell young people to get them involved in Peace Day?
Well, most schools have a school council or class council representatives, so get them to take charge of it. Get them to organise the day, empower them, let them decide how they would like to celebrate a day of peace. So teachers don't even have to don't really have to do much. The children can organise it, obviously within reason.
That sounds like a message to teachers, not to young people.
Well, school council, most school counsellors, they want to be the voice of their classes. So if you say to them, there's potentially a day where you can organise something, maybe that you really, really would like to do, but maybe there's not time in the curriculum to do it, you're giving them, you know, the green light to go ahead and do it. And I think that children love it because it empowers them, and also that they can stand back and say, we organised that day, it was our work together that made that day happen.
Ben, what would you say to teachers to get them engaged in Peace Day?
I think the most obvious first step is what we were talking about earlier, the resources, because I mean, we actually talked about the same lesson, but there's like 15 plus, if I remember rightly, on there. You know, there's the 1 day, 1 goal, which we also used, which was great. And then what I found was when, as an educator, when you're going out into the community or to parents and you're saying, you know, within the realms of education, we're doing X and X to support a day of global peace, you know, people don't say no to whatever you want to do. They just don't really say no to that. So when we were trying to engage local shops, even in Peace Day and the community event, through the school, everyone was saying yes. So I think it really opens the creative educator to go out there and do whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah.
So,
very positive vibe
to
the word peace.
Yeah, to that, and being an educator, they go, okay, well, what do you want us to do? How can we help? So I think, yeah, you know, it's a great opportunity for teachers to be creative in whatever they really want to do.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wendy Phillips, Ben Harrington, teachers who are very engaged in peace. We don't have to convince you. Thank you for coming in to talk to us. Cheers. And thank you all for watching. Our next program will be coming up shortly, and it will be on music and peace. Music and peace with Hani Kaleria. Great name. Hani is the founder of a dance academy called Hani. Hani's Dance Academy. And Zwai Bala, a singer-songwriter from South Africa. As always, don't forget, this is the day to reach out to people and to celebrate peace. This is the day to do it. Say you're sorry, say I love you, whatever it takes, make peace and tell us about it. You won't regret it. Thank you all for watching us, and a big thank you again to Wendy and Ben. We will see you very, very soon.